For over 50 years, the tech world lived by a single, golden rule: Moore's Law. It wasn't just a physical observation, it was a heartbeat. It promised us that every 2 years, the number of transistors on a microchip would double, while the cost would stay roughly the same. This was the wind beneath the wings of everything from the first clunky desktop PCs to the sleek smartphone currently sitting in your pocket. In those days, a CEO didn't necessarily need a brilliant strategy. They just needed to wait for the next generation of chips to make their software faster and their products better. It was a free lunch provided by the gods of physics. But recently, a chill went through the industry when TSMC, the world's leading chip manufacturer, unveiled its roadmap for the new A14 and A12 process nodes. On the surface, it sounded like a victory. They are now building transistors that are roughly 10 atoms wide. Let that sink in. 10 atoms. We are manipulating the building blocks of reality itself. However, when you look past the marketing, a grim reality emerges. Despite billions of dollars in research and development and the combined brainpower of the world's greatest engineers, the actual gain in transistor density is only about 6%. Think about that in real-life terms. Imagine you've been buying a car every 2 years that gets 50% better fuel efficiency. Then, 1 year, you show up at the dealership, pay double the price of the last car, and the salesman tells you it's only 6% better. You'd be outraged. This is the structural crisis facing the semiconductor world. We are entering an era where the demand for compute, driven by the insatiable hunger of AI models like ChatGPT and Gemini, is increasing by orders of magnitude, while our ability to shrink the hardware is slowing to a crawl. The autopilot is off, and the industry is waking up to a world where physics is no longer a friend, but a formidable wall. To understand why we've hit this wall, we have to look at the switch that makes everything work: the transistor. For years, the industry relied on something called the FinFET architecture. Picture a vertical fin of silicon with a gate wrapped around it on 3 sides. This gate acts like a faucet, turning the flow of electrons, the current, on and off. When it's on, you have a 1. When it's off, you have a 0. It's the binary language of our digital universe. But as we push these fins to be smaller and smaller, something strange started to happen. We entered the realm of quantum effects. At the scale of single-digit nanometers, electrons don't always behave like predictable particles. Sometimes they behave like ghosts. They perform quantum tunneling, literally walking through the walls of the transistor even when the gate is closed. This causes leakage. A leaking transistor isn't just a waste of battery life, it's a threat to the very sanity of the processor. If the chip can't reliably tell a 0 from a 1, the entire system crashes. This forced a radical evolution into gate-all-around (GAA) architecture, or what some call nanosheets. Instead of a fin, we now have horizontal sheets of silicon stacked like a stack of pancakes, with the gate wrapping entirely around them, all 4 sides. It's the ultimate grip, giving engineers the electrical control they need to keep those ghost electrons in check. Intel calls its version ribbon FET, while TSMC sticks to nanosheet terminology. It's a brilliant engineering feat, but here's the catch. It doesn't bring back the 50% growth rates of the past. It's a defensive move, not an offensive one. It's like building a better dam to stop a flood. It keeps you dry, but it doesn't give you more water. If shrinking the transistor is no longer the primary engine of growth, where does the performance come from? TSMC has realized something profound. The future of computing isn't what happens inside the transistor, but what happens around it. This is a massive shift in philosophy. In the old days, we focused on monolithic chips, one big piece of silicon that did everything. But there's a physical limit to how big a single chip can be, governed by the reticle limit of the machines used to print them. Rather than fighting this limit, TSMC is moving toward multi-die systems. Think of it like moving from a single skyscraper to a massive, interconnected metropolitan area. They are taking different tiles, or chiplets, some for compute, some for memory, and stitching them together in advanced packages that act as one giant superchip. The bottleneck now isn't the speed of the transistor, it's the speed of the roads between them. When a GPU needs to talk to its memory, it does so through copper wires. But at high speeds, copper generates heat and resists the flow of data. TSMC's real strategy is becoming a master of packaging. They are building the interconnect fabrics that allow these tiles to communicate at blistering speeds with minimal power loss. In this new world, the box that holds the chips is becoming just as technologically advanced as the chips themselves. It's a lesson for all of us. When you can't make your individual tools better, you have to make your entire workflow more integrated. One of the most fascinating dramas in the tech world right now is the debate over High-NA EUV. These are the newest machines from ASML, the only company in the world that can make the equipment needed for cutting-edge chips. These machines are the size of a double-decker bus, cost $400 million each, and are the pinnacle of human manufacturing. Intel is buying them as fast as they can. TSMC? They're waiting. Why would the world's leader in chips pass on the newest, most advanced tool? Because TSMC isn't just an engineering company, it's a manufacturing machine. They understand that being first doesn't matter if you aren't reliable. High-NA EUV machines are incredibly complex, have lower throughput, and make each wafer significantly more expensive. Instead, TSMC is using multi-patterning with their current machines. Imagine trying to draw a very fine line with a thick marker. Instead of buying a thinner marker, High-NA, TSMC is using the thick marker to draw the pattern in 2 or 3 overlapping passes to achieve the same precision. It's harder to coordinate, but it uses tools they already know how to run at 90% yield. This highlights TSMC's core identity: operational perfection. They don't want the most experimental factory. They want the most productive factory. In your own life, think about the tools you use. Do you always need the latest, buggiest software? Or are you better off mastering the tools you already have to produce better results? While TSMC is playing the role of the disciplined, steady architect, Intel is acting like a revolutionary scientist in a basement lab, trying to reinvent the laws of gravity. After losing its lead to TSMC years ago, Intel knows it can't win by playing the same game. It has to change the game entirely. Intel's D1X facility in Oregon is currently the site of some of the most aggressive experimentation in human history. They are embracing High-NA EUV immediately, betting that they can solve the learning curve faster than the competition. But that's just the beginning. They are working on directed self-assembly, DSA, where they use special chemicals that literally organize themselves into the patterns of a chip. It's like pouring Lego bricks onto a floor and having them assemble themselves into a castle. Then there's backside power delivery. Traditionally, a chip is like a house where the electrical wiring and the plumbing are all jammed into the same walls as the hallways. It's crowded and messy. Intel is moving the power lines to the back of the silicon, separating the power from the data. This allows for much more efficient delivery of energy to the transistors, which is crucial for AI chips that draw massive amounts of electricity. And finally, they are looking at co-packaged optics. Instead of sending signals through copper wires, they want to use light. Imagine replacing the slow, congested traffic of a city street with a teleporter. If Intel can pull off all of these breakthroughs, High-NA, DSA, backside power, and optics, simultaneously, they could leapfrog TSMC and reclaim the throne. But it is a monumental risk. If even one of these technologies fails to scale, the whole strategy could collapse. This brings us to the heart of the competition. 2 fundamentally different ways of thinking about progress. TSMC is building a larger city. They accept the limitations of the current brick, the transistor, and focus on better urban planning, better roads, and more efficient logistics. Their advantage is their ecosystem. Because they manufacture for Apple, Nvidia, and AMD, They have a mountain of data on what works and what doesn't. Their philosophy is, execution is the only strategy that matters. Intel, on the other hand, is trying to invent a better brick. They believe that if they can create a fundamentally superior building block, one that uses light, assembles itself, and draws power from the back, the rest of the city will naturally be better than anything TSMC can build. Their philosophy is, innovation is the only way to overcome a lead. This isn't just about silicon. It's a reflection of how we approach problems in our own lives and businesses. Do you focus on refining your current process until it is perfect? Or do you blow up the process and try to find a completely new way of doing things? There is no right answer, only the consequences of the choice. As we move deeper into the 2020s, the metric of success has changed. It used to be about nanometers. The smaller the number, the better the chip. But today, the world cares about compute per watt and cost per token. The giants of AI, the hyperscalers like Google, Microsoft, and Meta, are spending billions on electricity to run their data centers. For them, a chip that is 10% more energy efficient isn't just a technical upgrade. It's $1 billion in savings. This is why the manufacturing discipline of TSMC is currently winning. They provide the predictable scale that the AI industry needs right now. However, we must remember that history is full of steady companies that were eventually disrupted by a radical breakthrough. Intel's gamble is that the AI era will eventually demand more than just incremental gains. If AI models continue to grow at their current rate, we might need the magic bricks Intel is trying to build just to keep the lights on. What can we take away from this high-stakes battle between TSMC and Intel? The first lesson is that innovation is not a straight line. There are times when you can ride the autopilot of industry trends, and there are times when you must pick up the steering wheel and navigate through the storm of physics and economics. We are currently in the storm. The second lesson is that the system often matters more than the component. In our own careers, we often focus on improving one specific skill, our transistor. But as the world becomes more complex, our value often comes from how we package our skills together and how we communicate with others, our interconnects. Finally, we learn that execution is the ultimate differentiator. You can have the most brilliant Nobel Prize-winning idea in the world, but if you can't reproduce it 1,000,000 times with 0 errors, it's just a dream. TSMC's success is built on the boring, grueling work of yield optimization and manufacturing discipline. As you navigate your own life and career in this rapidly changing landscape, remember this: don't wait for the free lunch. The era of passive improvement is ending. If you want to get better, you have to be intentional about your strategy, just as chip designers now have to be intentional about packaging. Understand your bottlenecks. Is it your core skill that's holding you back, or is it how you deliver that skill? Often the interconnect, the way you manage your time, your health, or your relationships, is the real limit on your performance. Choose your philosophy. Are you an optimizer like TSMC or a disruptor like Intel? Both can win, but you must know which one you are to make the right investments. If you found this deep dive into the world of semiconductors fascinating, please hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. We have a lot more stories to tell about the invisible forces shaping our future, and I don't want you to miss a single one. Join our community of curious minds, and let's keep exploring the boundaries of what's possible together.